All right. I have a confession.
Oh my God, tell me everything.
I went out to a Italian restaurant while my
Mm-hmm.
friend Lisanne was here, and I ate so much pasta that I can still burp up pasta, and it's been 2 days later.
You smell like garlic. You're
It's
just sweating
so
garlic.
much garlic and onion.
Sounds delicious. Sounds
It
like the
was
best meal ever.
amazing. It was amazing. The place makes homemade pasta from scratch because I'm a picky bitch, and it is so good. So if you're ever
I
in
mean,
Vegas, my
yeah, if
God,
you're gonna have pasta, it's gotta be handmade. Okay, what's this place called?
it's called Ristorante Italia. Really generic, but it was so delicious. So you can find it on Yelp, and it was fantastic. And if you check in, they give you free pasta to take home. You can make
What?
yourself. Yep.
Did you make it yet?
It's actually sitting out there. I just had it while we were on break.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Come
Dang
out.
it.
We'll eat it.
I know. I know.
I'm making the list of restaurants to chow down on.
I know I need to come out.
Hi, I'm Cybil Solon. I'm an esthetician and spa owner.
And hi, I'm Alex Ellis. I'm a body nerd and wellness expert, and we are business besties.
And bosses, running your own business, it's hard.
But we're terrible employees, so we're figuring it out.
I've already figured it all out, but we promise to share everything we know about what it takes to make six figures and beyond.
Be brutally honest about what works and what totally sucks.
A bunch of it totally sucks. But let's get started.
Welcome back to Skinfessional. On today's show, we are talking about charging for appointments and tips up front.
Oh my God. And what happens if we just include everything in the price?
What happens is the world will end. The
Oh my
world
God.
will cease to exist.
Oh my God. I'm going to be honest with you. So I have been doing this since I started going back and forth to Los Angeles to do my services, and I'm still here.
Yeah.
Barely, but I'm still here.
And did you recently also raise your prices?
I did. I raised my prices all sneakily, and that worked out okay too. I mean, I'm still freaking out about it all the time, but it's still doing okay.
It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
I think we spend a lot of time worrying about what other people are going to think about our pricing or what it says about us. Or who we are, or like the audacity we have to charge so much, when really I don't think people care that much because they're coming for you.
It's true. Though I was about to drop my prices sneakily, but then inflation got crazy, and I was like, well, maybe I shouldn't, because what happened was the place that I sublet from, her rent went up, and therefore I had to kind of increase my prices. But then Burbank area, they were like, oh, we don't need to do rent increases. And so her rent went down. And she was like, oh, I don't have to charge you as much. I was like, oh, sweet. So I can just like bring my prices down again. And then I was like, I got all the emails for the year. And I was like, oh God. So, well, maybe the universe was like, no, girl, that's why you raised those prices.
Yeah, just keep them where they are.
So, yeah. So, reassessment has been made. So, yeah, we'll see. But it's a good reason to kind of talk about why you kind of want to include everything into your price. So, like when COVID first started, people started adding on all these fees, right? They're like, and here's this extra cleaning fee, and here's this, like I need gloves fee. And there were like so many crazy fees. And I think there's some places that still have some of these fees. And when you see them, what do you think? Are you just like, these fees are great, I love them?
I mean, honestly, I'm at the point where I'm just grateful that the place is still in existence. Yeah. And like, there's so much where I'm just like, yeah, okay, well, COVID, like so much leeway. And this is just me. And I know that like, I've been on the Instagrams, that many clients are not like this and they're assholes.
Right.
So I recognize that. But as a fellow business owner, I'm just like, I'm glad you're here, and just please keep existing.
I'm the same. And I mean, I'm sure everyone who's listening to us feels the same. They're just like, I'm just struggling to get by every day. I'm just glad I can pay my bills. I put a bunch of stuff on credit cards, and I'm just trying to like make it to the next month. But I too am like support the businesses, and I'm trying to just stick it out the best I can. But at some point you look around and you're like, this is the new reality. This is how it is.
Yeah.
There's no need to have fees. You're just going to say, this is the price. This is the price.
Period.
And so our industry, we kind of live in this weird land where we kind of function on this idea that we live in gratuities or tips, and we have to have these fees if you cancel, and there's all this rigmarole that goes on. And the number one thing that I found that would happen is that I would have all these conversations around people canceling, and I'd spend a lot of time rescheduling, and I had all this drama about it. And
Yeah.
when I realized that I was going back to Los Angeles, and I literally was working for 2 days, I was driving down to LA from Las Vegas, and I had 2 days to work, and that was it. This is my finite time. I thought to myself, what do I need to do to cut out kind of all the mess? I have no time. I have no time. I have no time.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked around and I said, people need to prepay. I don't have time to take money, and I don't want anybody tipping because I just don't want to mess around with it. I just want to charge people a fair price, and the price is the price is the price. And if I need to know what my schedule is, so people will prepay for that appointment, they can cancel 3 days before. If they cancel anytime after that, they lose their money.
Yeah. Which is just the policy. It's just the policy.
It's the policy. Now, you and I, we've talked about policy before. If, of course, there's always the like, hey, COVID happens, I can make slight choices per person. If something crazy happens and the person calls me, I can always make that choice. But the policy is the policy is the policy. So
yeah.
What I discovered in the now year of doing this was that, one, when people can't book really far in advance and they have to pay up front, people don't book appointments that they don't want.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
there's also, so there's less scarcity.
Yep.
There's less scarcity on my book, which used to have a lot of scarcity, which for me is kind of stressful because like I'll look at my book and I'll be like, oh my God, I have all these open appointments. Oh my God, I'm not booked out 6 months in advance. I have a lot.
But also, if you have a bunch of people booked and then somebody cancels the day before and like, cool, you charge them $100 or whatever, but like they still canceled.
That's right. But it also leaves room for people who, that last minute client who did want to get on my book, now there is space on my book, who couldn't book in advance, who was like, I'm never seeing Cybil again. Like, I'm just never seeing them because I'm never seeing her because I just don't have the ability to book that far in advance. And I'm not a dick to hold the space.
Right. Yeah. Right? I mean, honestly, when I book with other people now and they don't charge me up front, I'm like, you don't want even my credit card to like hold a space? Like, that's crazy. Like, how are you going to charge me a cancellation fee if I don't show up?
Right. Well, and I know that we've had the conversations where people like, and then they cancel their credit card and and there's all this drama. Once you're charged and you've been charged 3 months ago to a month ago, that ship has sailed.
And honestly, though, I think, again, when you have strong boundaries
and
in
you have
place,
good clients, and you say, and also these are good clients.
You have good clients, and you say, these are the rules. People go, okay, those are the rules. Will there be the outliers that try to push it? Of course. Yes. But in my experience, I found the majority of people are just like, okay.
Yeah.
And customer care is not a nightmare.
That is 100% true. Now, when I included tipping into it, I was super stressed. I was actually more stressed about adding the tip than having people prepay. Because quite frankly, in our industry, lots of people are used to like prepaying for things. I mean, you prepay for, when was the last time you didn't prepay for the item that was delivered to you? You
I know.
All this stuff
Yes.
Time.
Yes.
Wait for it to arrive to you all the time.
Yeah.
So that we wouldn't prepay for a service that we're going to get is not uncommon. It's just not common in skincare, that even somebody would get a service and then pay for it afterwards is crazy. Because then somebody are like, I decided I didn't want that. I didn't like it.
Yeah.
It's how much money?
Yeah.
It's bonkers that this is how this works.
Yeah.
So, but tipping is something that I got stressed about. But Alex, when I told you that I was including tip, how did you feel about that?
I mean, honestly, as someone who doesn't get tipped, I find it to be a huge relief. I'm like, oh, cool. I don't have to worry about that now. It's already included, the proper amount. And it just isn't this like awkward conversation. Like I remember one hairstylist and like I tipped and then I apologized that I tipped because it wasn't enough. And it was just like left me feeling so dirty on the inside. I would rather have you just say, it's included, it's taken care of, you're done. How are you today? Let's look at your skin,
Right. And that's what made me feel so much better is when I had the conversation with you where I was like, I'm going to include, and this is how it went. This is literally how it went. I'm like, I think I'm going to include tip in it. And you're like, and you literally took a breath and you're like, I like that. And I was like, okay, well, if Alex likes it, then it should be okay. All right.
I just stressed out about like, is it enough? Is it the right amount? Am I supposed to tip this person? Like, there's so many industries too where I'm like, I didn't know that you relied on tips. Like, that's crazy. And how much is this? I think it removes another layer of stress for some people, especially like maybe newer people who aren't totally accustomed to what's expected.
It is a younger generation. It's a generational thing. So this idea so really old generations are like, I don't understand why I have to tip at all. And then we have middle generations, like my generation, we're like, everyone should tip. We like tipping everywhere. And then we have younger generations that are like, I don't feel comfortable tipping because I don't even understand it. Like, I don't, nobody taught me how to tip. Like, this is a weird thing. I don't get it.
Mm-hmm.
And I've watched this over the years in my industry and been like, tipping was designed, because I worked as a waitress for years. Tipping was designed to fill a gap that we were paid like $2.50 an hour.
Freaking nuts.
Right. So that you like made money. And when I worked in a spa at first, you were like, well, I got like, minimum wage. And then you lived on tips and your commissions.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not okay. So we are essentially saying when tip is included, you're saying our people get paid proper amounts. That's all you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
Tip is included. You get paid a fair wage, which this is the world we're living in now. People get paid a fair wage.
What would you say to a client? I imagine the first thing is that they're not going to be your client, but a client who like pushes back on that and it's like, well, your price is so high anyways. And
you're like, well, I mean, in that case, if they're like, your price is so high, you're like, I mean, the price is the price. That's what I would say. The price is the price. That's it. The price is the price. Whenever somebody gives me crap about the price, I'm always just like, the price is the price.
Mm-hmm. I want to share too what I pulled this off your website about this, because I think oftentimes when we are including extra fees, people get really apologetic and weird and like need to explain themselves. Like I went to a Mexican restaurant this week that had paper on every visible wall that said, we charge an additional 3.25% to, offset the blah, blah. 3%, y'all. I don't care. Just charge it. I'm not going to say anything. Like, whatever. Even if you're like, oh, tip isn't whatever. Okay, that's what I have to say. But so the question is, are you really saying it's like in your frequently asked questions that you pay up front and tip is included? And your response is yes. Working in LA part-time makes it extra important that every moment is used wisely. Focusing my attention on you and your skin's needs helps me provide that soul and touch you've come to expect, as well as keep the space I'm working clean and sanitized between clients. Why I wanted to share that is because I want to point out there's no apology. Not a single apology. It is, yes, the price is the price. This is why. And so I want to encourage all of us to not apologize, to just like, the price is the price. This is what it is. It is. If you want to work with, because this is the other thing. Let's like for a second not pretend like we're the only one who does the service that we do. Okay. Like I was talking with my husband about this. He's like, well, nobody really does what you do. I was like, what are you talking about? There's tons of people who do what I do. And like they're chiropractors and physical therapists and people with like real letters after their name. But people come to work with you because they trust you and they want your expertise and your opinion. And if you're saying, this is what it is, and they want to work with you because they're your client, they're going to say, okay, here's my credit card, take my money.
Right. That's exactly right. Absolutely. It is so important to remember that you provide something that nobody else provides because you are you. And we've said it a million times. Listen to a million of our episodes. You are you. And that's what you provide more than anybody else. And you're going to provide it at the price that you're going to provide it. And you have to be comfortable with your price. And you have to make a fair wage. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah. So how did you talk to your clients about moving into the situation? Like, did you make a big announcement? Did you just say, this is how it is? Like, how did that go?
I essentially said, I'm going to be moving to this location. This is what I'm doing. Here's my page. Feel free to book. That's it. Once again, we have an episode where I talk to people where I say, I don't tell people what's happening. I don't make a big announcement about anything that I find scary.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't announce things that are scary. I'm just like, it is what it is. And if you have a question, you'll ask me and then I'll address it.
Yeah, because I think too, the minute you start explaining stuff away, you show your insecurity
Yeah.
around it, and that just opens you up for
It makes
more.
fear.
Yeah, and then people go, oh, but why? And then they start asking questions. So, like, what kind of questions did you get from clients in
So
this time?
the number one question I get is, which is why it's in the FAQ, is it really, do I have to pay up front? And is the tip really included? And the answer is yes. And people
Yes.
were like, why? And
Hmm.
mostly the reason was originally because I needed to have time. It was time of COVID. You have to have more time in between clients. I need to make sure I get people in and out. Every second counts. Every minute counted. Every millisecond counted. Usually I would have more time between clients to kind of chat and do no, I need every person to come through. Oh my God, I'm paying rent per second there. I'm subletting. I need to
Yeah.
get as many people in as possible.
I just had an idea too about like the psychology of spending and money. And we talk about our personal money stories and all of that. They've already, like, when they pay up front, your client has already gone through their own financial story, bullshit, fear, trauma before
Mm-hmm.
they show up. And so when they show up, they get the service, they experience
They
you,
just
they
relax.
have the results, and then they just go home.
Yeah. They
It's
just
out.
relax.
And I'm just thinking of like how many other times too, it's like you come out of that room, you're all relaxed, and then it's like, okay, well, now give me your credit
Yeah,
card.
I have to
Let's book the next
pay.
appointment. Yeah. I mean, have you found this to be true too? It just like creates a more relaxed environment overall.
It does. And I will say that when I first went into business, I kept people's credit cards on file. And the number one thing people liked about that was that they would come out and they'd just be like, my credit card's on file. And they just breeze on out. Right. And
Mm-hmm.
that was something they really liked. And when I moved to a different system, POS system, and I was like, okay, well, I need to do your credit card. Their like jam was like, all like, oh, this sucks. And I can't believe I have to change my mood now. And that I didn't
Mm-hmm.
realize that that would
Mm-hmm.
happen. They're like, you can't
Mm-hmm.
just keep my credit card on file. And I'm like, I can't. That's not a thing I do anymore. And so now it's like that again, where they're just
Yeah.
like, oh, it was wonderful, hugs and love. And I don't even sell product anymore because you've had to pre-purchase your product. I have no time for sales at all. You've had to pre-purchase your product. And it's like, peace out, bye.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
know, all those sales happen. I know you're coming in to see me. I drop you an email. Hey, do you need product? Let's talk about your skin. Da 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 da.
Which
Okay.
I love. I'm like, oh yeah, I need more serum.
Yeah, I do that all before you even come into that treatment room. I've done it before I come down to Los Angeles.
Yeah. And I think for someone who isn't doing a model like you are, where it's, a limited time, supply and demand is totally in play, that there's ways to work this into your schedule as well. I think, like having people prepay as they book is
Mhm.
freaking great. And anytime I book and I don't pay, I'm always like, this is weird. Are they going to like hoodwink me at the end? Um, just like do that.
Bait and switch.
Maybe
Bait and switch.
seriously, maybe you're not able to pre-sell product in the same way, but if you can keep credit cards on file, maybe that means like you need them to just sign a little contract at the beginning or whatever to
Mhm.
whatever it takes. Like just sit and think like, how can I have that last 10 minutes of their time in the spa with me be the best
Yes. That
and
feel of
keep it
like
that way.
love and not be
Mm-hmm.
about a financial transaction because it has made a
Mm-hmm.
huge difference. And I had
Yeah.
not really thought about that until you said that, Alex, but it's 100% true. When they leave, they're just like, peace out. This was great. And I'll see you next month. And they'll be like,
See?
can I book yet? And I'm like, you can.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll book online. Bye. And understand that just about every system has an ability to book online and to prepay up front.
Unless you're a dentist, and then what the fuck?
I know that's true. But almost they probably do. They just are using an old
They
school
don't know me.
system.
They
But
don't know
just about
me.
every other system, they do. They have a way. If you're using Schedulisty, MindBody Online, in fact, you have to check the box that says don't let them pay online. Because almost every other
Mm,
industry, you pay before you play. It's just as simple as
yeah.
that.
I mean, that's such a good point, too. I think that, we're really ingrained in like, well, this is how it's always been done. And I think there's always room for innovation and improvement. And then also just like, stick your head out of the cubicle and look around and like nobody else is doing it that way. So you don't have to keep doing it the same way either.
That's right. And I know we do a lot of things because of fear. We're like afraid to change. We're afraid that people are going to hate us. They're going to talk smack to us. They're going to make us feel bad about ourselves. Remember that your clients love you. They might question you. They probably won't. And if they do question you, just have the things that you're going to say like in the queue. So,
Yeah.
just remember that, one of the things that's important is that when you're talking about your tipping, you could just say tip is included. I really make sure to tell people don't say no tips allowed, because I do sometimes still get a tip on top of it. There's
Mm-hmm.
nothing wrong with that. I have not put, I don't do, so when I created my tipping system, I didn't do a 20% tip. My facials are incredibly expensive. So I didn't do like a 20% tip on top of it. For me, I've always felt that like I'm worth like maybe $25, $30 extra an hour. That seemed fair to me. And any of my super high end ones, I'm like, I barely tip on top of that because I'm already, that's, as long as I'm making a fair wage, I'm fine. So some of my clients
Yeah.
are like, I'm still giving you some gratuity, Cybil. And I'm like, thanks, that's great. I appreciate that. But in this day and age of COVID, most people don't carry cash. People don't want to give you cash. Making them
Mm-hmm.
do so is a weird thing.
Mm-hmm.
So making sure that you have the right saying phrases are as important.
Yeah.
Wording, and then really make sure that when you transition to, you're taking, everything's just included and people are paying up front, just be cool about it. Don't be stressed, because as soon as you get heightened and have anxiety, you make them have heightened anxiety.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, I was just thinking too of like a massage that we went and got, my husband and I, and like you paid up front because like the last thing you want to do when you're walking out of a massage is and then whip out your credit card and pay. So I just want to encourage everyone, like, don't think that you're the only one and that you're selfish because you're charging people up front. Like everybody's doing it. I do it. I charge people up front. I'm not waiting till I already provide the service and then hope that they pay. I've been there. I've done that. And it was really stressful. So it's like less stress, better quality service
Mm-hmm.
for everybody involved.
Yes, everybody involved. And if you have people prepay, now, if you have people prepay, you will find that some people it's uncomfortable because we're used to being like, hey, do you want to pre-book? Some people will be like, I don't really want to yet. That's okay. Remember, it's not that they don't want to because they don't like you. It's because they don't have the cash right now. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's perfectly fine.
Mm-hmm.
So you just
Mm-hmm.
allow them. It's kind of like switching how you do your stuff as well. So you always just like, you can book online and I'll see you next month.
Mm-hmm.
Just like that. So it's kind of like changing up your life a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can also choose how you want to do it. If you want to have people pay up half, still just put a deposit. There are different ways to kind of transition your life in your spa if you're not comfortable doing the full amount. I just
Yeah.
found, once again, the full amount was great and people were super happy to do it.
Yeah.
So
Just do it.
just do it. All right. Well, I think that is a good place to kind of start for people. And
Yeah.
yeah, that's good. So bring us
And
home, Alex.
yeah, I was gonna say, we want to hear from you if you are doing this, if you're thinking about doing this, if you still have some hesitations about doing this, hit us up. You can find the show on Instagram at Skinfessional. You can find Cybil at Skin Fitness Expert, and you can find me at Hala for Mala. So send us your questions, tag us, let us know that you listen to the show and you learned something new. Or you can leave us a message into our box, our Skinfessional box. What's that number, Cybil?
818-473-5277. You can also email us.
Yes, at skinfessionalpod@gmail.com. So that's skinfessional, just like this show title, pod@gmail.com. So easy. And we read it too. And we appreciate all of your messages, from the super delightful ones to the ones like this show didn't suck. I mean, it's all appreciated.
Yes, absolutely. We like all of them because we
All
listen to
feedback
you.
good.
That's
Appreciate
correct.
it.
All right, everyone. So until next week,
Keep your secrets to yourself.
unless you're telling us.
Okay,
All right,
bye.
bye.